All right, everybody. Well, welcome back to the lab. I know it's been a while since I made a deck list or posted video or anything like that. Locals were dead pretty much because of COVID, and just been moved to an apartment. So now I got a good setup. Now we don't have to worry about the little crappy desk clamp for my phone. So without further ado, we're gonna go into a Turles deck list. Obviously, pretty much untap testing. No actually in-house testing until tomorrow actually. Um, but as for the leader, typical 10k, it's green leader, so it can use stuff like dormant potential, shocking death ball, and so on. So the permanent on this card says, if a Turles Crusher core in your battle area would be placed in the owner's drop area by one of your skills, it's sent to the owner's warp instead. So basically, you can't use Successor. You can't use stuff like the Belmod card that comes in. I think it's a blocker, 20k. Can't use that. But if it gets KO'd or warped or anything like that from one of your opponent's skills, it goes straight to the drop area. So it's not hard to get sparking necessarily. And then also, if you combo off the field, it goes sent to the drop as well. But when you place this card in your leader area, you play or place up to one Tree of Might from your deck into your opponent's battle area. I'll go over that card in a little bit. Second auto, when this card attacks, you choose up to one of your life. Take it to your hand. Look up to the top 5 cards of your deck. Add one Turles Crusher Cores uh, card from your deck or from your hand. Excuse me. Add it to your hand, and then you shuffle your deck. Awaken has 2 different types of awaken abilities. When your life is at 4 or less, your opponent has 3 or more life face up. You can draw one, untap one, and then flip the card over. And then as for the awaken side, this is where the card or the deck gets a little bit more interesting, and the leader gets a little bit more interesting for me at least. So same permanent as the other side. If they're removed from the battle area due to one of your skills, it gets sent to the warp instead. But the new secondary permanent says when this card deals damage, you choose the damage that it deals. So if you have you like your opponent, you flip your opponent's life, so you're able to see that. So when you deal damage to your opponent, and you don't want them to have a certain card, say that there's like a Nimbus on there, and you're gonna go, you're gonna go wide and go tall the next turn, and you don't want them to have that Nimbus, then you can choose another card. And granted, if one's face down, you don't know what it's going to be, so it's kind of like a hit or miss on that aspect. But if you decide to maybe combo with the Frieza that just came out in the Ultimate Box, the reprint Frieza that gives something critical, you can give the leader critical, and then if you use a fruit later on, you can give a double strike crit as well. Then you can just crit that Nimbus away or crit the super combo away or what have you. And then when you attack, you draw, and then activate main. Once per turn, you choose one card in your hand, place it at the bottom of your deck, and then you add one of the Fruit of Tree of Might cards from your drop area to your hand. And then, so like I said earlier with the leader, when you play the card, you play your Tree of Might card. So this card goes straight into your opponent's battle area. So what this card says is that while in the battle area, so mind you, all right, so before I read this, mind you that this is going to be in your opponent's area. So you want to read this as if the Turles player is playing against you, in a sense, just to grasp it a little bit better. So permanent says, while in your battle area, this card cannot be placed in your drop area by your skills. Reduce the combo cost of all Turles Crusher core cards in your opponent's hand and battle area by 1. So it turns all your 1+3Ks or your opponent's 1+3Ks to 0+3Ks and 0+5s or 1+10s or what have you, as long as they're Crusher cores. So granted, this helps you, but it's in your opponent's thing, so that's why it's worded the way it is. And then auto says, if all your opponent's energy is mono green, it's part of the cost. If this card is in your battle area, which it would be because your opponent can't remove it from their field, you choose one card in your life and flip it face up. If you do, your opponent adds one Fruit of the Tree of Might from their deck to their hand, then shuffles the deck. So, granted, you play the leader. This card goes in your opponent's side of the field immediately. It's not a field card. There's no field keyword skill. Or excuse me. There's no field skill on here, so there's no way to really remove this card at all as of right now, because it blatantly says it can't be removed by skills. So it's pretty much just going to sit there all day. If all of your life is face up, your opponent will, or you as a Turles player, will not be able to search out for the fruit card. And then for whatever reason, it says activate main. Your leader card is a Crush this core card. Play this card in your opponent's battle area. So theoretically, you could probably. I mean, I only main one because there's no way to remove it. I don't even sideboard one. I mean, you maybe if they come out with a tech that allows you to remove it, then maybe. Um, but as of right now, you only need one because it goes straight into play. In the mirror match, I mean, you can be like, all right, I'll activate main, and you can push your opponent's card into your side of the field type thing. Like you guys can just slowly just keep swapping and keep swapping. As far as I know, I mean, I could be wrong with the way this permanent's way the permanent reads. So I mean, if I'm wrong on that, then comment and comment in the comment section and let me know, and by all means I'll completely disregard what I just said. So the next card, we're gonna go into the extra cards first. Like any green deck, in my opinion at least, we're gonna run 4 dormant potentials. Sorry about the glare, by the way. I'm kind of like the light's like directly over my webcam and my mat. There we go. So we're gonna go with 4 dormant potentials. It's broken. It's not a negate, don't get me wrong, but it still stops like the next attacks. And then this deck really comes out for free based off of autos. So Dark Power Back Messane really like messes with this deck quite a bit. So dormant potential is really good. Turn 1 defense if they see and draw into Black Messane, they attack, and you just be like, all right, well, let me dormant potential you. If it's like if you're playing against like Red Broly or something aggressive that can swing a lot turn 2 type thing, or turn 1 if you go first, and it stops the turn and it removes a Black Messiah. So I just figured, in an aggro format, it's kind of needed. I also teched in or have main board 2 Shocking Death Balls. It's a Sparking negate. It's not hard to fill Sparking, but it also pops at 2 costs or less, so it's another card to help remove Black Messiah. I have 2 main boarded Preemptive Strikes. Shout out to my boy Cody. Didn't even think about this card. Not many people play this card because there's better counterplays. But what this deck likes to do is like turn 2, turn 3, you want to go tall and you want to go wide, and you want to just swing face. Regardless if it's double strike or crit or not, you just keep swinging, and it's an onslaught. It's like Ginyu, but better in my opinion. Like this deck is pretty much Ginyu, but a lot better and a lot more consistent. I have these in to stop floodgates. So Topo is a huge stopper. The counterplay trunk or the counterattack trunks from TP promos, the heroic prospect, I believe it's called, stops those. Stops the Gohan and the blue Gohan and baby that makes you bottom deck a card every turn. It would stop the Vegeta. If people run the Vegeta, it would stop the Vegeta that makes you sack an energy. All those cards that kind of basically stop your deck turn 2 in a sense, I have those in for that. And then as for the next cards, I run 3 of Fruit of Tree of Might. So what this card says, it's an activate battle. If your leader card is a Turless Crusher Core card, all of your energy is mono green, and you flip 1 face up card in your opponent's life face down. So that's all part of the cost. So you need a Turless Crusher Core leader. All your energy has to be mono green, and you have to be able to flip life face down. So your leader and your cards, your other battle cards naturally, and some extra cards flip your opponent's life face up. So you need to flip a life face down in order to get this effect off. You choose one of your leader cards or battle cards, and it gets 20,000 power. So it's a 1 cost 20k. In my opinion, that's just ignorant right off the rip. As for the secondary effect, if the chosen card has a character name that includes Turles, so there's Turles Xeno cards in here. Your leaders are Turles. So granted, it doesn't say if the chosen card is a Turles, because then obviously Turles Xeno wouldn't fit because it's 2 different things. But because of the fact that it says includes Turles, it also works with the Turles Xeno cards. So if you choose a Turles in its name, it also gains double strike. So your leader is now, if you're awakened, your leader is now a 35k double strike. Other cards become 35k crits, or 35, 45, 55 double strike crits. It's a broken card for one energy, but it does have a heavy cost on it, being the mono green, being able to, or you have to flip a opponent's life back to normal in a sense. So you have to, have, if your opponent's life is face up, you have to flip it back face down type thing. I run 3 of these. You don't need 4, honestly. Your Tree of Might on the other side of the opponent's battlefield is searching these every time you start your turn. I mean, unless you go first, or unless you go second, because then you don't have any energy, so you can't pay the cost for a tree in order for them to flip a life. But if you go first, then you're seeing this turn 1, so you don't need a mulligan for it. So when your opponent starts their turn 1, if you went first, you're seeing this. Then your opponent's turn 2, if you went first, you're seeing this. And then your turn 3, you're seeing this. And then your leader's effect, you can bottom deck a card, and then you can take this back from the drop. So theoretically, if you already still have one in hand, you can activate main on here, bottom deck your fruit, because you know you're going to get it next turn, take one back from the drop area. Your opponent starts their next turn, and you're like, oh cool, now I have 2 fruits in my hand. And then you can literally just keep on cycling it like that. You always keep one in your hand so you can bottom deck and then draw one from the drop area to pull another one. But you can bottom deck any card, you don't have to, but that's a good little tech for this deck. Next card. So I'm kind of iffy about this card. Running it at a 3. I'm pretty sure I'm going to run it at a 2, but I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to say for definite yet. But it's Kill Driver. So I run 3 kill drivers, excuse me. It's an activate battle. If your leader card is a Turles Crusher core card, so that's the cost. Flip up to one of your opponent's life face down, or face up, excuse me. So it's the opposite of fruit. So if you use it, you flip a life face up. So it's a good defensive turn 1 card, in my opinion. It has 2 effects on it. It gains whatever you're boosting, whether it's a leader card or battle card. It's a 1 plus 10k, so you're gaining 10,000 power for the battle, and then you can choose one. You can draw a card, which is for the defensive side. I mean, you can do it on offensive as well, but or if it's your turn, that's the offensive side of it. You choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost greater than their current energy and KO it. So, Dark Broly's, Broly swap 3, 4, 5, 6 drops. Granted, if they're awakened, they'll get the secondary effect from it. Literally 90% of decks. Blue Baby, not that it's running rampant or anything like that, but the negator usually costs higher because it reduces the cost on the field. The Planet Tuffle reduces the cost on the field, or from hand of counter cards, so that would hit. Freezer counterplay the charismatic villain, it would hit. There's an abundance amount of cards that it hits and it removes. The only negative part is that it doesn't remove barrier, or it does remove barrier. It does not remove barrier cards, so that's kind of why I'm really tight whether I want to remove it, because it doesn't remove barrier cards. That's literally the only. If this removed barrier cards, it would be literally broken. It's a 1 plus 10k draw, so it's a pseudo combo, or it's a 1 plus 10k and it pops your opponent's card. Like, to me, it's extremely well. I think it's well designed. I think it's also balanced really well, because of the fact that it can't remove barrier cards. All right, so a lot of people have been talking on the Turles group, who me, Derek, and Jua admin of. I personally run parasitic balls. I know Derek doesn't. I know a lot of people don't like the Xeno package just because of how heavy the costs are for it. I have my ratios at a 3-3-2, so 3 of the 4 drop, 3 of the ball, and 2 of the 6 drop. So this is a 4-star ball. Gains Dark Dragon Ball in all areas. Activate battle. Choose one of your cards. It gains 5,000 power for the battle. So it's a 5k combo, so it's never really a dead card. Activate main. If your opponent has 2 or more energy, you choose one of your mono green Turless cards with energy cost of 3 or 4. So you cannot use this for the 1 drop. Place this card underneath it. So you place the ball underneath the card, and then you can choose up to one of your green Turless Xeno cards with an energy cost of 4 in your deck or hand and play it on top of the card. So there's only, I believe there's only one option. Let me double check the cards real quick before I start talking out of my ass. Yeah, there's only one Turles card that costs 4 more, 4 or less. Sorry. So this is, we'll grab it right now, so you know. So this is a Turless card, and then 2 of the 6 drops. Not exactly how I wanted to do the deck list, but it makes more sense. So you put this under a 3 or 4 cost, and you bring out this dude on top of it. The Turles Dark Parasite. He's a blocker, 20k. When his card activates a blocker skill or is removed from the battle area by an opponent's skill, your opponent may choose one card in their hand and discard it. If they don't, you draw one and then flip up to one of their opponent's life face up. So theoretically, you can get this guy out turn 2 if you go second. So your opponent needs 2 energy for this. So you can get this guy out turn 2. To me, it's not the ideal play. Unless you want to go a little bit more defensive because you know they're getting a little more aggro. You know, you might want a blocker and dormant potential in hand at the same time type thing. They might be able to get a little hand destruction out of it by ripping a card. If not, then they flip a life and you get to awaken faster. Because as soon, if you remember correctly, if they get to 3 or more face up, then you get to awaken. Compared to being at 4 life, so you can technically awaken with 8 life if you're that defensive about it. And then this card, the 6 drop. So I really like this card. It's a double strike crit. It's a 25k. It EX evolves over the 4 drop, so over a Turles for 2 green energy. Energy cost of 4. Has an auto when it's evolved into this card, so switch it to active mode. So if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you can use the other 3 drop that we'll be discussing in a little bit. You can, swing with that 3 drop, use a ball, put this guy on top of it in active mode, swing with this guy, EX evolve, put this guy on top, restand it again, and then after you evolve this card in active mode, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand, sends it to the warp, and then you flip up to 2 life of your opponent face up. So there's a lot of face up flip cards, like I said earlier. So you're gonna be able to choose the damage that you do with your leader. So it's a very life manipulating. I'm gonna give you the cards that I want you to have type scenario. So I don't necessarily think hand destruction is a route for this deck. I don't think you can build hand destruction with just like basic good green cards. It is a good leader. I mean, you get a free 1 plus 20k double strike on your lead. So I mean, if you want to throw in some of those freezes that tap 1 plus 5k and crit, then by all means, you're for 2 energy, you're swinging with 40k double strike crit, and not a lot of decks can handle that unless you're running red and you got a lot of minus negates and stuff like that, like Wolfang's Fist and what's that other one? Flight of the Grand Eagle or something like that. I think does it. I don't know. I could be wrong though. And then the second auto on this is once per turn. When this card attacks, you combo with 1 green card from your drop and negate its skills for the turn. So it's a combo, so you can't use your activate battles, but you can use your super combo, your 0 plus 10k super combo. So it's not too bad. It's literally a 25. If you use a super combo, it's a 35 to strike, double strike crit. The Cosmic Rogue, I believe it's called. 4 drop Turles. It comes out for 2 if you have a bunch of, I think, 3 or more battle cards on board. Boosts all Turles Crusher cores by 10k. So if you have that guy out and then you put this guy out, now he's at 35k double strike crit base. And then like if you add, I don't know, Kill Driver, he's another 10k, and you can pop an opponent's card. So there's a bunch of different texts you can do with it. I personally like this package. I think a 332 is a very, very safe number. You can completely remove this. You can utterly, completely remove this whole entire package. It's not a staple by any means. It's just something that I personally like playing. Your next set of cards are the 1 drop Turles Invader of Earth. So it's a unique. It's a 4K, which I mean, it sucks. It's a 1 drop 4K. So if you're playing in a mirror match, you want to swing with lead before you play this card. Just because if they do have Shocking Death Ball and they know what this card does, you don't want it to be removed. So when this card's played, you flip up to one of your opponent's life face up. So it's another flip face life up card. if your leader card is Turles, Crusher Core, which obviously it's going to be, when this card attacks, you look up to the top 5 cards of your deck and combo with up to 5 Crusher Cores among them and shuffle your deck. So literally, you can play this on turn 1 if you go second, obviously, because you can't attack turn 1. You can attack with it, and if you look up the top 5 cards and you see every single one of your Crusher Core guys, except for your Super Combo, because you're not going to want to burn your Super Combo at 8 life and not be able to draw a card, the other 4 guys literally just come out on the field after you combo with them from the combo area. So, like turn 1, you're playing for 1 energy, you're swinging with this dude, and you now have a field of 5 dudes, or 5 guys total. But that's not necessarily the smartest thing to do either, because that leaves you open to people attacking into you, and all the other guys are like 3, 4, 5, 9Ks. Like it's not worth it. It's not worth the effort to put in on turn 1. Now, if you're playing against something like Blue Baby, there might be a reason to do it on turn 1, but because they don't have a lot of removal, turn 2 removal, they might side deck Bola to remove 1-drops and stuff like that, but other than that, there's really nothing for it. Going into the next card, so this is a 3-drop that I was mentioning earlier. The Turles Crusher Core Commander. It's unique deflect. Once again, I'm pretty sure every single physical Turles card, like the actual character Turles, is unique. I don't think there's one that's not. He has deflect though, so he's gonna hit board. There's no way around it. He's going to hit board. Activate battle. We'll talk about the activate battle first. So the activate battle is a 1-cost green card. If you have 2 or more Turles Crusher Cores in your combo area, you play this card for your hand for 1 green. So it's a 3-cost that comes out for 1. But the good part about it is that you choose 1 card in your hand and place it in the bottom of your deck. So you can, like I said earlier, filter the tree back into the deck because you know you're going to draw it. So again, next turn. So you don't lose any. You don't go neg at all. When this card is played, you draw 2 cards, and then you gain 5k until the end of your opponent's next turn. So if you play this on your opponent's turn, on defense, ideally, preferably, it goes up to 20k, and it's just going to sit there. And then they're gonna pass turn. It's gonna stay there because it's the end of your opponent's next turn. So on your turn, it'll be 20k. And then if we end up playing the 4-drop, which I'm going to discuss in a second, then it's gets the plus 10k. So now it'll be 30k base. And then if you have the Frieza or the Fruit combo, now it's a 50k. So it's 30k base, and then it's going to be a 50k double strike. So like this deck goes wide really fast and it goes tall extremely fast. So it's hard to deal with, but it's easy to deal with at the same time because like it's pretty linear. It's really easy to get to understand. Once you understand the deck, it's really easy to play around. So there's a 3-drop. Going into the next card, this is a card I've been telling you about, and of course I have to be ignorant and have 4 SPRs. Turles Crusher, or excuse me, Turles, the Cosmic Rogue, or Cosmic Rogue, there's no the. Unique, deflect, and critical. So it has critical, has unique, has deflect. So it's hitting board. Sorry to say. Luckily, there's no on-play auto. But first permanent says, if you have 3 or more Turles Crusher Core cards in your battle area, and you have 3 or more energy, reduce the energy cost of this card from your hand by 2. So this is like your ideal turn 2 play. You play this in Awaken, and then now you have 2 open energy for preemptive strike if you need to, or anything else that you might need to, fruit or kill driver or combo Frieza. I keep forgetting his name, so it's just going to be called combo Frieza from now on. Second permanent, excuse me. During your turn only, all Crusher Cores in your battle area gain plus 10k. So it includes itself. So it doesn't say except for this card, so it definitely includes itself. So he's a 25k critical base. And then this card would boost this guy up. If you play this card on the opponent's turn and gain the plus 5k, he'd boost it up like another 10k, so he'd be at 30k base, like I said it earlier. And then the auto, when this card attacks, you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So another removal card, but it's balanced. It doesn't hit barrier. I believe there's actually nothing in this deck that hits barrier, so it's a little iffy, but there's nothing to, you can just sideboard in Artificial Impact from, I believe, set 9? Yes, I believe set 9. Yep. Yeah, because that was when Android 13 got supported, my boy Trucker Hat. Next, as of right now, we're running for the Cacao I believe that's how you spell his name. Super combo, auto, 4 life or less. You combo this card. That's a 1/0 plus 10k. So you can really use it anywhere or anytime, but you only get the plus. You only gain the draw 1 if you're at 4 or less life. Um, I've talked to a couple friends that are running the Gohan, the bottom deck more cards, to draw more cards. But honestly, like I'm running 53, 54 if you count the tree. And I'm at 15 cards or less, maybe sometimes even like close to 7, 5, or 4 cards left in deck by the end of the game. Um, and I've seen like you pretty much see like all the cards you want to see, including because when you swing a lead on the non-awakened side, you're searching top 5 for a Turles Crusher Core to put in your hand. So if you don't, if you see cards like basic cards that you don't want to see or you don't need to see because you already have one in hand, you can just take a super combo because they're part of the Crusher Core. So that's why I like running them. They're searchable. If you swing with a 1-drop later on and you're at 4 or less life, you can take that off the combo, off the top of your deck, combo with it, and gain a +1. Next card we're going to bring out is Raisin and his brother. Now I'm going to butcher this name. Lakase, I believe, maybe. Sure, we'll go with that. Lakase. So Raisin and Lakase. All right, so these two cards work in sync together. You're going to want to run both of these at 4 and 4, in my opinion. So Raisin's a blocker and has unique, and then Lakase is a unique as well. They're both 5Ks. They're both 1+3Ks. But because of the fruit of the tree of might, or not the fruit of tree of might, excuse me, the tree of might on your opponent's side of the battle area, it becomes a 0+3K. So as for Lakase, if your leader card is a Turless Crusher Core card, and this card is used in, it was used in a combo from your deck or hand, when this card would be placed in the owner's drop area from a combo area, you may play it in rest mode instead. So you'll soon see that any of these cards that come into play after you combo with them, granted they don't hit the drop, so you don't get to proc like Healing Pot or anything like that. They go straight into the battle area in rest mode. Same thing with this one, but because this is the blocker, this one comes into, all it says is you may play it instead. So it doesn't specify rest mode. So Raisin comes in active mode. Like I say, second auto. If your leader's Crusher Core, when this card is played, you play up to 1 green Raisin card. This is exactly why you want to run 4 and 4 with an energy cost of 2 from your deck. Then shuffle your deck. After you play it, it's not part of the stipulation, so you cannot play a Raisin. And then the second half of the effect is you draw 1 and then choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. So you can actually combo it. Like I say, if you have Raisin on board already, you cannot play a second Raisin. You can't even attempt to play a second Raisin because it has unique. So if you combo him, you bypass the whole play and Raisin part, and then you just draw 1 and ditch 1. And then you can ditch a fruit, and then use your leader effect to, say, bottom deck another card, and then draw a fruit back into your deck. So you really know you don't go neg in a sense. And then Raisin comes into play in active mode after comboing with it, just like Lakase does, except for he comes in active and Lakase comes in rest. But when Raisin's played, you play up to 1 green Lakase with an energy cost of 2 from your deck in rest mode and shuffle your deck. So if you don't have him, but you have him, you can combo him, comes into play, and then you just play this dude. And then because he has unique, you can't trigger his you can't play up to 1 Raisin, so then you just draw 1 and bottom deck 1. Or, you combo this card and then you play this card from your deck, and then you draw 1, ditch 1. So it's along the same lines as you can pretty much do it any which way you want to do it. They synergize both really well. If you know that you're out of Raisins or out of Lacases, you can always but you have 1 in hand, you can always bottom deck 1 to get the effect off to help play it for free instead of just maybe comboing it from hand type thing. Next card is Dies. So I run 4 dies. 4 dies is also another searcher. I know. I have two more foils on the way, so it's all synergistic, I guess you could say, all OCD kind of. So it has unique, like all the other Crusher Core cards. Instead of being put in your drop area, it gets played from your combo area in rest mode. When you play this card, you look up to the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Turles Crusher Core card among them to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So it's another way to search the top. It can pull your super combos. It's a 19K 2 cost, or 9k 2 cost, excuse me. 1 plus 3k, like pretty much everything else, but the 1 cost 3k part gets removed because of the tree on the opponent's side of the field, or so opponent's side of the board. And then if you had that Cosmic Rogue out, it adds 10k to everything. So all these 5ks and 9ks and 4ks all become 14, 19, 15. But every single one of these have unique, so you can't go on a spam streak too much. And I play two almonds. My buddy Derek, the other admin in the group, doesn't play it at all. I've seen it played at 3. I've seen it played at 4. Personally, I think it's a nice like 1 or 2 of tech. Has unique. Same thing though. When you combo it, instead of getting sent to the drop area, you just play it from your combo area in rest mode. But the activate main for 1 green, send this card to the owner's warp. So you have to do it. It's an activate main, and you have to send it to the warp. It has to be on the field. So you don't send it to warp from drop, or else it would specify it has to be on the field. And then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 5 or more and KO it, and you can't play copies of this card for the turn. So I can't combo, play, activate, warp it, pop a card, swing with something else, combo, play, tap a card, warp it. You can't cycle it like that. It's just one. You can only play one of these per turn. You have to use the effect. Granted, I mean, it'll be in rest mode, so unless you're sacrificing it and send it to the warp somehow, or it gets removed or KO'd or whatever, warped, then you can't play it twice anyway because it has unique. So that's it for the Crusher Core, guys. And then the last card, but not least, I'm still fighting on it. As of right now, this is the secret rare that I'm running, but I don't own Boo, the new Boo Nemba card. I probably run this or run that. It's either one for me. You don't have a 7 cost, so there's no reason to run or try to run the Broly. You also don't really self-awaken and don't take life unless you're non-awakened. So this is the only thing you can really take up to 1 life type thing. But in case you didn't know, Grade 8 Mass and Primal Carnage, unique. If your leader card is mono green, which it is, and you remove this card from the combo area from the game, so when you combo this card, you tap 1 plus 10k. The auto goes independent. You remove the card as part of the cost from the game, so you exile it, you warp it, whatever you want to call it. When this card is used in a combo, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So this is kind of like, this is my barrier out, other than sideboarding like 2 artificial impacts for 3 green energy. Like, that's a little ridiculous. Or activate main for 5 green energy. You can play this card from your hand against dual attack and triple strike for the turn. So if you go really wide and you're on turn 5 and somehow there's, like, I don't know, maybe you're in a mirror match and you just keep dormant potentialing each other or nimbusing each other in a yellow matchup, turn 5 you just be like, all right, well, I still have this big old board. I still have all my Turless guys. I'm just going to tap 5 and play this, and now I'm just going to swing face with everything and just hope it goes through. That's pretty much it. I don't really have. As you can see, I'm not running unisons. I don't think they're bad in this matchup or in this deck. I think there's just better turn 1 things to do. Granted, turn 1 Demigrow with charismatic villain and dormant potential being free is not something to laugh at. I would definitely highly consider maybe doing like a 4-3 in the sideboard for stuff like Red Broly. But in the main board, I'm kind of building it more so to kill on turn 3. If they last till turn 4, then a extreme punish on turn 4 type thing. But I mean, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's try to make this deck one of the best decks in the set 12 meta. I appreciate the view, and I hope you guys have a great night. Bye.